Hello, welcome. Today is August 24th. It's Read Through the Word, and I'm super glad that you're here today. And we are continuing in the books of the major prophets. We're going to talk about Jeremiah today. Jeremiah 33:15 and 16 says, "In those days and at that time I will cause a righteous branch to spring up for David, and he shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. In those days Judah will be saved, and Jerusalem will live in safety. And this is the name by which it shall be called, the Lord is our righteousness." I love that verse. I love the verses that refer to this branch that's going to spring up, that's going to grow up, sprout up, and create an entire an entire family line that we are now a part of. So the word branch in Jeremiah 33:15, the Hebrew word is tsemach. It means sprout, growth, or branch. And I personally love trees. I love to be by trees. Being in the northern Midwest, a good chunk of the year, the deciduous trees all lose their leaves. And it's still really beautiful. But I'll tell you what, when springtime comes after a long winter and these bare branches begin to start to bud, and it feels like such a slow process. They slowly start to bud and become green. Oh, it's just the greatest thing. It fills me with so much hope and so much joy. Because we can have some long winters here in Wisconsin. But it feels like it takes forever for those branches to get green after a long winter. And I thought about how many tree and planting analogies there are throughout the Old Testament, and the New Testament as well. And that's part of it. That was their life, right? I mean, God and Jesus, they spoke to people according to what they saw around them, what they could identify with. So they understood what it meant to help cause something to grow and to flourish. They knew what that looked like. They worked with their hands to do that. And again, it's not modern society, so they had to have trees. Trees were vital for living. So I looked at the tree and plant analogies kind of throughout the Old Testament. And as I thought through and kind of looked through, what do different trees or plants symbolize? Growth, abundance, peace, life, spiritual prosperity, stability, protection, strength, expansion, safety, well-being, flourishing, and careful cultivation. I love Isaiah 53:2. It says, "For he grew up before him like a young plant, like a root out of dry ground. He had no form or majesty that we should look at him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him." That's pretty amazing. So this branch, this righteous branch that Jeremiah is talking about, that's predicting Jesus as the Messiah. Isaiah is also saying this young plant is going to be a root in dry ground. Not the picture of flourishing, right? And I think that's interesting because when we think about growth, it doesn't always happen in ideal circumstances. I also like 1 Kings 4:25. The Old Testament talks often, and the New too, about fig trees. So for Israelites, the idea of sitting under the shade of one's own fig tree indicated safety, peace, and well-being. It made me wonder about in the New Testament when Jesus called Nathanael and it said he was under a fig tree. And sometimes I wonder if it was literal, and it could be, or was it figurative? Was he enjoying safety, peace, and well-being as a part of his family or clan or his life? I don't know. And it definitely could be a literal thing, but it also made me think, was it also figurative? Because the writer of that would have known in their mind that's what a fig tree symbolizes. So I think that's interesting. When the fig tree withers, when Jesus causes it to wither, does that expand the depth of its meaning there? Because a fig tree, again, was supposed to be a symbol of one's own safety, peace, and well-being. So just some interesting thoughts about the symbolism there. I also, Psalm chapter 1, verses 1 through 3, one of my favorite verses about trees. Happy are those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or take the path that sinners tread, or sit in the seat of scoffers, but their delight is in the law of the Lord. And on his law they meditate day and night. They are like trees planted by streams of water, which yield their fruit in its season, and their leaves do not wither. In all that they do, they prosper. Again, what a beautiful picture. So when we're given this picture of Jesus as a root, as a branch, it's something that's going to grow. It's something that's going to take time, isn't it? Just like me waiting for the green to come out after a long winter, growth takes time. When you think of the root in dry ground that he's talking about, it doesn't always look pretty. The circumstances in which the Messiah came to our world were not pretty. Growth doesn't always happen in ideal circumstances. And so when we think about this branch, this root in dry ground, this beautiful thing that's supposed to grow and become just a flourishing thing, it took time. And it took work, and it took cultivating. Sometimes I think we can get really impatient with our own growth, with the growth of others, with how things are going along in our life. Why aren't they moving faster? Growth takes time. Even the growth of this branch, of the righteous branch that would be the line of Jesus, that took time too. And it's not because Jesus wasn't perfect, obviously. It was because sometimes what God is doing in the process takes time. And we don't understand why, but we know that he's growing something as we go along. Jesus is our safety, our tsemach, right? Tsemach, our reminder that things are always growing. And growth, what does it look like according to our key verse? It looks like justice, righteousness, safety. So if we're seeing our life moving in those directions and we're seeing that fruit, we know that we're on the right path. So what can we do? Never stop growing. Be patient with your own growth, compassionate with yourself as you hit bumps along the road, and compassionate with others. But just like God took time to take a root and dry ground and make it something amazing and beautiful, it takes time in our lives to grow what God is doing. Thanks for being here today. We'll see you next time on Read Through the Word.